Okay, hello, התבוננות, Jewish psychology, and today we want to address a very special subject, very special question, and the question is, can we gain mental independence? More than that, emotional independence. What do we mean by emotional independence? Before that, I'll say that today it's the Israel Independence Day, and it's a very special day, and it's an opportunity to think about not only about national independence, but about our own individual independence. What does it mean to gain emotional independence? What is independence? Independence is when I know when nobody controls me, nobody govern me. Nobody, when I mean nobody, I mean not only in external things or people that do not control me, do not dictate me my way, but also not internal things. What things can control me? When I am in depression or when I feel angry, I am being controlled by the emotion of depression. By depression, it's the manifestation of an inner emotions that derives, that push forwards the depression. But when there is a negative emotion, this emotion controls me. So independence, mind independence and mental independence means that nobody controls me, and it's not even undesirable emotions, and it's not even external things. You can see it when you talk about children. Think about a child. They care so much for their independence. When they feel that someone is trying to take their independence, they immediately stand on their legs and they say, no, we don't want nobody to take our independence. And when you do that for a long period of time, they feel that they are losing their options to choose, to be independent. So it's a major question. Can we reach an emotional independence? And it's something that we really want, to be independent, that nobody will govern us, that it's the base for natural rights. This is the base for natural rights, that you have independence, that you can reach independence. And can we reach independence in our life, in our emotions, in our mind, in our mental independence? And it's a huge question. Let's penetrate into it. Before that, I will invite you to subscribe to our growing channel, התבוננות, Jewish psychology. Okay. The answer to the question that we raise, it's not an easy one to implement or to agree with. The answer is, in Judaism, there wasn't a word, let me rephrase it. Independence, in Hebrew, it's a new word. You won't find this word in the Holy Scriptures or in holy or ancient writings. Why? You won't find it. Because there is nothing like independence. A human being cannot really be independent. What does it mean that he cannot be really independent? That it's like a slave is never independent, and you cannot be independent. What do we mean? Let's focus on that. Sometimes I do not choose whom to be buried, whom to be born to, when to be born to, but it's not enough. You can say that I can be independent during my lifetime, 120 years, but think about it. When you want to be independent in your mind, what does it mean? That you are not focused on nothing, unless you subdue yourself. Unless you become a slave to something. It's like I choose an idea, I choose a team, I choose something to learn, and now I become a kind of a slave. I subject myself to this thing. That means if I'm trying to concentrate or to develop myself without subduing myself to something, I won't reach any goals. I won't succeed with that. I won't develop myself in this direction. Why? Because any advancement need what? Need us to be a slave to something. We can never be independent. We can only decide whom to we are slave to. That means, let me rephrase it again. I cannot decide to be independent. It's like an illusion that we run after. We will never be independent, not even in my emotion. When you let your emotion run in all directions, the result will be very harsh and very difficult. Why? Because you will let your emotion run, and there you won't control them. They will manifest themselves in your thoughts, and the result will be that you will suffer from confusion or negative emotions that will spread all over. If you want to feel good, you must subdue your emotions to your mind, to something. You must control, navigate your emotions. Without that, you will lose control of your emotions. You cannot let your emotions be independent. So whenever we're talking about independence in the emotions or in our mind, we means that we are not advancing, but the least we are not advancing. The worst is that we are losing to undesirable mental state of mind or mental health. Why? Because, as we said, in the emotional aspect, when you let your emotions be independent and you not govern them, and you do not subdue them to the mind that will navigate them, you will be controlled by your emotions and you won't gain independence. And if you let your mind just spread around without focusing it, the whole idea of focusing is discover inner abilities, inner attributes. Everything that you gain is through focusing. Without focusing, it's like you are not in this place. And focusing, that means that you subdue yourself to something, that you are now a slave of something. Now something else control you. Maimonides says that in a beautiful way. He says that whenever someone wants to be a part of something, he needs to nullify himself. And nullifying himself, that means that he is a part of this thing, is a part of this mission. So what we are saying, the run after independence is an illusion. You cannot really gain in your life independence. You cannot do that. Why you cannot do that? Because there is nothing like independence. We will always be slaves. The question that we should answer to ourselves is slaves to whom? Who will govern us? And the Jewish answer is that, there is godliness everywhere, and He is creating the world every moment. And if you do not subdue yourself to Him, nullify yourself to Him, you will nullify yourself to other things, to your cravings, to your desires, to mundane things that will control you. So you will be a slave. Now, you have to decide if you want to be a slave to something that will prominent you, that will bring you to a higher level, that will pick you up. And in order that will happen, you have to subdue yourself to something that is higher than you. But if you subdue yourself to something that is lower than you, then you will be a slave to something that is lower than you. And you will lose your virtue as a human being. So what we are saying here, we are saying that independence, in a way, it's not a human virtue that we really can achieve. You can get natural rights, but in your mental aspects, you will never be independent. All you have to decide is to which direction you nullified yourself to. When you have like a life mission, and you become, whenever you decide to do this and to sacrifice yourself to this direction and to subdue yourself to this very important life mission, now you are a slave in a way. I'm using the word slave because it's a very strong word, but this is the word that the Jewish literature is using. But you are a slave to something, and when you are a slave to this thing, only then you will reach goals, you will develop. You do not have any other way. Independence, it's nothing that you can reach. Why? Because the soul, nobody asked the soul if to get into this earth and to influence in this earth. The soul can decide to do that or can decide not to do that. But if it won't do that, the soul will pay a high price. The price of not subduing yourself to something which will develop you, and you will be able to reach targets and to gain more results when you subdue yourself to these things. So the question that we should ask ourselves in this moment is what? First, if you don't agree, write to me in the comments. But if you agree, the question that we should ask ourselves is, what do we subdue ourselves to? what are we slave to? And if it's something that is higher than us, that helps us to elevate ourselves, then it's like it's the right way to live our life. It's the right way in the sense of you subdue yourself to something that help you to grow. But if you subdue yourself to something that is lower than you, usually it's a mundane thing, then you do not grow yourself. Then you will pay the price of the emotional price. Okay, Jewish contemplation, התבוננות. You're more than welcome to subscribe to our channel. See you next התבוננות.